Thank you so much for joining me today. So, I want to talk about a topic that is incredibly relevant and important to teachers and has been, I think, since the beginning of time. However, it has definitely become a much bigger issue over the last, I'd say, 5 years for sure. And it is dealing with difficult parents, okay? Parents who maybe feel they have the right to tell you how to run things, parents who feel they have the right to make completely unreasonable requests with an unreasonable time frame behind it. I've recently been watching the board teachers read out unreasonable requests made by parents that like other teachers have sent them. And it is getting crazy out there, guys. Like, I cannot believe some of the requests that parents are actually making. Um, to the point of like they are just, completely unrealistic. So I want to go into how can we help teachers that are out there, because like as a mindset coach for teachers, I often deal with this particular issue that a lot of my clients have dealt with. And I want to give sort of my 10 tips that I have used and that friends of mine have used and that I've researched that I believe could definitely work. Recently, I did a Instagram live with another coach for teachers, Adva from the States. And she also, we talked about difficult parents. We just did this live on Sunday, which prompted me to do this podcast because I want to put everything that we talked about into a podcast. And so I came up with 10 of the main things that we mentioned. And I'm really just hoping that a couple of them can help you with some of your difficult parents. And realizing that it really has nothing to do with you. That's the first thing I think we have to understand as a teacher is that it doesn't have anything to do with you. The way that a parent treats you is the way that that parent treats everybody. That's the way the parent treats the waiter and the person driving next to them and their family members most likely. And many other people are receiving the negative energy that this parent is coming at you with, okay? I know with me, I've had tons of, negative parents, and in the beginning of my teaching career, I I mean, they would literally live rent free in the apartment of my mind, and I could not get them out. I would take them home with me. I would take them to the shop. I would take them everywhere. And it was only until I started working on my mindset about 10, 11 years into my teaching career that I really like basically what I would do is I would still have the apartment of my mind, but I would evict. I would imagine that I was pulling out those parents that I didn't want in there, like pulling out their little bodies and like out of my mind and like throwing them off to the side. And then I would take my amazing parents and I would pick them up and I would like put them in my mind and they would be able to live in the apartment of my mind. And because that was something I had control over, I didn't want those parents coming home with me because obviously, like, they're toxic parents. I don't want them anywhere with me at all, but I just couldn't get rid of them. And I'm sure if you're a teacher, you understand, you just can't stop thinking about them, and it's the worst. So today, I'm hoping that one or two or three or four of my 10 tips and tricks for dealing with difficult parents helps you. They have helped me and they have helped some of my friends. And Adva gave me a really good one. In fact, I'm going to start off with one that Adva gave me. Um, so Adva at the very beginning of the year, so this is tip number one. At the very beginning of the year, she would call her parents. And this I know works. I think this works a little bit better if you're a primary school teacher, not necessarily a high school teacher, but she would call all of her parents and just introduce herself. And that way she would open those lines of communication so that when the parent had something to discuss, they weren't necessarily coming at Adva now with this like negative perspective because they knew who she was. And most negative people are less likely to want to attack if they know you better. That's not true for everybody, but that is true for a lot. But she did not have any difficult parents because, and she will, I don't know if I can say because of that, but she definitely believes that that contributed to the facts. So when you start, and I know it's difficult, and I know that you're probably saying to me right now, especially if you're a younger teacher, like, but oh my Marissa, I cannot make phone calls. I can't call them. And what I'm going to say to you is, well, you have to, like, if you want to open that line of communication, you have to meet with parents. I mean, that is part of what you're doing. You're not just teaching the kids, unfortunately. You're also dealing with the parents. So calling them is one strategy. I mean, if you want, you could always, Zoom call them or do a video call with them if you want, but I don't know if they would always go for that. So I would definitely try calling them and just touching base. That's all you have to do. It's a really simple, hi, Mrs. Jones, like this is Marissa, Lucy's teacher. I just wanted to call and introduce myself. I'm really excited to have Lucy in like grade 5 with me. Please let me know like if you have any questions, or do you have any questions at this time? And then, okay, cool. We'll have an amazing day. I'll see you later, and then you go from there, and that's it. And if the parents are separated, you can call the mom and the dad if you want. I mean, I would, if I wouldn't necessarily just call one. Um, yeah. So I think that's definitely, like, give me your thoughts on that. Give me your thoughts on any of these, really, because I would love to hear what you have to say. My whole point of my podcast and my YouTube channel is just to bring as much positivity to teachers and add as much value in these really difficult times for teachers at the moment. So if you do have any questions or anything you want me to cover, like, please just let me know. Okay. Number 2 is setting boundaries from the beginning. Okay. From the very beginning, you've got to set those boundaries. So you have to, for instance, do not under any circumstances get on any WhatsApp groups with parents. Do not give out your phone number to parents. Do not respond to any emails when you go home, and no notifications should be coming through on your phone, not one. Okay, from school. Okay, other notifications, whatever you want, fine, but definitely none from school. Your time when you get home is to spend that time with your family, and to do things that you want to do for yourself. And I'm really sorry if you are holding on a second job. I've been there. I was a tutor as well after school, and if that's happening, then you definitely have to set the boundaries with parents. Don't, and also with unreasonable requests like the ones from board teachers that they're reading, if it is a request that literally makes you go, are you freaking kidding me right now that you just actually asked me that? That's almost like one of those you want to say to the parent, yeah, I'm so sorry. Like, I won't be able to do that, but you would have to, or like before you say that, you might go something like, I think you'd have to ask my admin for something like that. Now, if you have a difficult admin, you would just have to say, I'm so sorry, but I just won't be able to do that. Like, I'm just not allowed to do that as a teacher. You have, like, when it's really an unreasonable request, you can just kind of just shut it down straight away. Set the boundary that you have 24 hours to answer an email, so that parents are not expecting you to answer emails like straight away. If a parent needs to get hold of someone from or their child, they must go through admin. Don't let them believe that they can go through you. So that's the first thing you want to do, is set that boundary. Don't talk about, I made the huge mistake of having like my parents meeting one morning, and not one morning, sorry. It was like the introductory meeting with the parents at the very beginning of the year. And then one parent asks me about her child, and I made the huge mistake of talking about her child. So then other parents also want to know about their child. And then my 30-minute meeting turned into an hour and a half, and it was absolutely ridiculous. So you always want to say, I'm so sorry, but I can't talk about other children in a meeting, but you're more than welcome to message me and set up a separate appointment, something like that. So if you do want to know any, key phrases to use, also please let me know, but definitely setting those boundaries is number 2. Okay. Number 3 is basically remember and remind yourself at all times that you cannot control who the parent is. Okay. The parent is coming to you with their own frame of reference, their own experiences in life, their own mindset, their own trauma, their own difficulties, their own financial issues, their own marriage issues, their own child issues. The parent is coming at you with a ton of their own issues, okay? It has nothing to do with you. So you have to always remind yourself that you cannot control who the parent is. You can only control your attitude towards the parent, right? Do you put your back up straight away, or do you smile and stay calm and practice your breath work? That's coming up soon. I'm going to go into that too, because that is your superpower. Learning how to stay calm is 100% your superpower. So when the parent comes at you, you just remind yourself that it has nothing to do with you. You can only control your reaction. Okay. What you say, what you think, what you do, what you think. You cannot control the parent. You cannot control the parent's unreasonable request. You can only laugh at it later with a friend of yours. That's about it. So you don't want to take it personally, because it's not personal. Just keep telling yourself, like, wow, I'm so glad, like, I only have to deal with Lucy for a year, because I could not, imagine dealing with this parent for the rest of my life. And, that parent has to deal with their own life without you. You only have to deal with them for a year. Just keep reminding yourself of that. Okay. Number 4, linking on to this one, is keeping calm. Okay. So in a second, I'm going to go into what to do if you have a parent meeting and a parent is upset in the meeting, or they're confronting you and they want to meet with you. Okay. And they're really like agitated and be like, ah, all over the place. But keeping calm is absolutely crucial. Okay. So if you are going to do one thing for me today, it is practice your breath work, practice box breathing, practice like how do you take in deep breaths. And I mean, I know I read this thing where kids said to the teachers, oh, do you need to take a moment? Be like, yeah, you need to take a moment. Everybody needs to take a moment. Everybody needs to understand how breathing, how learning deep breaths is like one of the greatest things they can do for themselves. So you're going to keep calm. When the parent confronts you, you are not going to say anything. Okay. You are going to just stay calm and listen. And I know it's going to be hard, but you have to, because the less you say, the less chance that they are going to escalate into a higher level of intense emotional and like a higher emotional state. If you stay, my go-to was always go behind the computer, start opening a note and be like, okay, cool. I'm just going to take notes while you're talking to me. Let them talk, let them vent, let them yell. Do not say a single thing. Just take notes. Then when they're done venting, because really a lot of the times they just need to vent, when they're done venting, say to them, thank you so much for telling me this. I just want to read back the notes to make sure I've got everything. And then you're more than welcome to correct, like, and if I've missed something, like, please let me know. And then you read back the notes in as basic language as possible, as simple as possible. You read them back. A lot of the times, the words, I follow Jefferson Fisher. You might know him on Instagram. He's got a huge channel and he talks about things you can say when you're put in these moments. And one thing that struck me that he said is, I have learned, thank you so much for telling me this. I have learned that, that Lucy is struggling with math, or is, struggling with this child. Thank you so much for telling me that. Thank you for explaining it. And because you want to sort of diffuse what the parent is saying, and your your best strength is literally saying as little as possible and just letting the parent talk. And then once they're done speaking, that's where you say, thank you so much. I've learned. You read the notes back to them. And now I'm going to go into number 4. This is what I hate. I'm on things are out of order now. I think I'm on number 4. I hope I'm on number 4. I could be wrong. But anyways, number 4. This is one that I absolutely love. And this is if you know that you are going to have a meeting with a parent, with a difficult parent, okay? So you're aware of it already. I want you to set an intention for the meeting. So, what I mean by setting an intention is, what do you want to get out of the meeting by the end? What result do you want? Because then, anytime the meeting starts to deflect or go in a different direction, you can steer it back to the intention that you've already set. So by setting an intention for the beginning of the meeting, you're like, okay, by the end of this meeting, I want to have 3 strategies in place for how we are going to help Lucy with the math. And every time the mom or dad goes on a different thing, say, okay, no problem, but I just want to know about this with the math. What do you think of this strategy? What do you think of this strategy? And just constantly leading it back to that intention that you have already set. What do you want to get out of the meeting? Because then your mind will be focused on going there instead of the fact that it could go in like 1,000 different directions. And now you have to try and rein it in and you can't. Okay. Cause it's tough. All right. Number 5. Okay. This is an interesting one. So if a parent comes in, don't sit until they sit. So don't have them like the power hierarchy, right? So don't have them standing while you're sitting, especially if it's a difficult parent, because it suggests that it looks like they have more power over you in that instant. And so when they are standing, you are standing. When they are sitting, you are sitting, so that you're always equal. And as a separate thing, I've seen this too. I have never done this, but it could be something you want to try. So one sign of assertiveness would be you moving out from behind your desk and sitting closer to the parent. And again, I've never tried that. It's something that I read in my research, but it suggests basically that you are in control, and it gives that impression that you know what you're talking about. You are feeling confident enough and assertive enough that you are going to move closer to them. Yeah. So if you've ever done that, please pop that in the comments. I would love to hear how that worked, because it seems interesting. I mean, could totally work. Okay, so number 6 is something that I've used with difficult parents, is the kind of mindset of help me help your child. So asking the parent, like, I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Like, what do you suggest I could try? Because I've tried a few different things with Lucy, and this hasn't worked so far, but I would love ideas from you. If maybe there's a direction I could take or a method I could use that might help in terms of like behavior or in terms of trying to find a solution. So actually asking the parent, like, for, what would they do in your situation? Right? Then they might give you a piece of advice that you're like, well, don't have her sitting next to Michaela, like, number 1. And you're like, oh, okay, well, I was just considering moving her from Michaela. So then you can implement that. So there's that strategy as well. I'm always like, help me help your child. Because in the end, especially if you're dealing with a child that they're particularly difficult, and you can see like the parents themselves are difficult, hence why the child is difficult for whatever reason. You have to step back from bringing in your personal feelings into the situation, and always come from the point of, okay, well, I want to help your child, right? So how can you help me help your child? Again, it all comes down to like staying as calm as you can. You cannot get angry. You cannot put your back up. Okay. Number 7 is, if you have a very difficult parent that you are concerned about, get someone to be in the meeting with you. Or record the meeting. Like, I don't know if, like, legally you might want to say, okay, I'm going to record this meeting. You could tell the parent even that you're going to record this meeting. If you feel that you need to record it, then record it. But sometimes it is better to have someone with you. And I mean, that can even just be a colleague. It doesn't have to be your admin. It can just be someone who can back up sort of what you are saying, because in a parent meeting, you only have the he said, she said. You don't have a recording, right? So you may want to consider recording a meeting if you feel that you might need that. And that would lead me into number 8, which I'm going to sort of deviate for a second from the meeting for a sec. But Adva was mentioning that she had a client, and what he would do, or it wasn't a client, she was a teacher. He was telling her he would record a video of himself explaining a situation about maybe the student's behavior or something like that. He used Loom to record it, and he would record it, and then he would send the video to the parent. And I liked that idea. So the video was basically just him explaining like what happened that day or whatever. But I like that idea because we can often, as teachers, get trapped in the negative tone of an email. We are not, and I honestly feel like this should be taught at Teachers College, but like, how do you write an email with the right tone so that a parent won't misconstrue that tone and feel like you are being antagonistic or negative or something like that? Whereas if you have a video, they can see how you are, what you said. And it's, and of course, everything, there's a paper trail essentially, right? So you always want to make sure, especially with difficult parents, you have a paper trail, because then you can come back and say, okay, well, this. And just most importantly, I've said this before, but making sure that you have in your email a folder with your parents' names or your students' names, so that any email that comes from the parent goes into the folder so you can find them very quickly. But yeah, making sure the parent knows what's going on. That's like really, really important. Okay. Yet again, I'm terrible. I think I'm on number 8. I actually think I'm on number 8. Okay. So number 8, never admit to any wrongdoing. Okay. Never admit that you did anything wrong. My advice is always go explain what you did to like a few of your different colleagues that you trust, and be like, what should I do? Right? Get the advice first before you actually decide what method to take in terms of like moving forward. Okay. Number 9 is, okay, getting like, and I also wish they would teach this in Teachers College, but learning how to say, I'm not comfortable with this conversation, and I think we should meet at a separate time. Right. So, if they are, for instance, insulting you, bullying you, no one has the right to disrespect you like that, like no matter what. So you need to be like, I'm so sorry, I'm not comfortable. You don't even have to say sorry. That's the Canadian in me, but I don't feel comfortable with this conversation. I want to speak to you about this, but it needs to be, you know, at a different time. So I would, please send me an email and let me know or whatever. And then you have to walk away, because they don't, like, nobody has the right to bully you or be insulting to you. That's just a fact. You don't have to meet with anybody in that position, right? Who's being like that with you. So I would definitely just get some strategies. And this is a good one as well, to ask around and be like, well, what have people said in that situation? So almost being like, okay, I can't I can't be in this conversation, or I can't speak to you when we're using this tone of voice. Um, but I would be happy to set up a meeting with you at another time, and then walking away. And number 10, setting a time limit for the meeting, putting a time boundary in place. And I was not particularly good at this at the beginning of my career, but towards the end, it got better. So if you have an impromptu meeting, being like, okay, amazing, we've got 25 minutes, let's get into it. And like, you set that time right at the beginning of the meeting if you know that you're going to get a parent who could go off on some tangent. And if the meeting is even remotely planned, you ask someone from your school, like, at 25 minutes, can you come in so that we can have a quote unquote meeting? Otherwise, like, I don't know, put on a YouTube video and make it look like it's a Zoom meeting. Like, share your screen like it's a Zoom meeting, but it's really a YouTube video. So it looks like you're having a meeting. That is what I would say. Because when you don't put a time constraint, especially if you've got parents like mine, oh man, my colleague and I both had these parents. They don't respect your time. They like you. They're great parents, but they would put their meeting for parent meeting like at the end of the night so that they knew they would have 20 extra minutes or 30 extra minutes. Or sometimes we've had like just ridiculous amounts of times at the end of a parent evening when my colleague and I were doing it together. We had this one couple, they were like divide and conquer. It was terrible. She cornered me and talked to me, and her husband cornered my colleague, and they just talked to us for like an hour. It was awful. It was awful. But now I would say if I was put in that position, I'd be like, okay, my husband and I have dinner plans. So, right when she came in, say, oh, I'm so happy you're here. It's great to see you. I can't wait. As soon as we're done here, my husband and I have dinner reservations for at this place. Have you been? Is it great? Because you can allow for like maybe 10 extra minutes for that parent to talk to you, but you have to almost have that boundary in place, even if it's not true. Just have it in place so people know, so the parent knows that you are, you have a commitment after this. And then in the middle of the conversation, even be like, okay, cool, we got 5 more minutes. Like, what else could we like, what else, like, and then direct it towards the intention, right? So if you've set the intention for the meeting. Anyways, I would, yeah, it's such a topic. You can go on about the difficult parents, but I get it. So I hope this helped. If you have any tips or tricks or advice for other teachers who are struggling with this, please, please, please put them in the comments below, because yeah, and just like subscribe if you are interested in, like, if you are a teacher, a teacher, because my goal is just to help as many teachers as possible get their mindset in a more positive place and recognize like what they can control and what they can't control. All right, I am sending you so much love for the day, the week, the year, all of it. And I just hope that life is beautiful for you right now. And I hope to see you soon. Bye.